so you're here for a guide about the SmitePocalypse. So let's get right into it. Here are my passives. Okay. Now, ideally, I don't want Gladiator. However, I didn't find a better offhand right now than the sword that I'm using. So, and we'll go over that in a second. So, unfortunately, I'm using that. I don't have anything in Void Knight and Forge Knight. I just disregard all my defenses, but if you feel like you're squishy enough, feel free to take Battle Hardened. If you don't have enough resistances or HP, feel free to take Abyssal Endurance. Okay, that's pretty much all you need out of these trees. Everything else is a Paladin tree. Okay, we got Conviction, increased damage. We got Defiance, Attunement means damage. We got Health, increased healing effectiveness, very helpful because we are going to do a lot of self-healing. Holy Icon, more self-healing, resistances, HP, more attunement. Attunement means mana, means more damage to smite. Multiplicative because mana, the less mana we have, the more damage we also do. Okay, we got prayer, increased damage, increased healing. Faith armor, more armor, critical strike avoidance, pretty important. Okay, more health, more endurance. Honestly, I find endurance to be probably like the best defensive in the game right now. If you have a good enough percentage and your endurance is at like as close to 1,000 as you can, you basically right now it's a multiplicative damage reduction based on your endurance percentage and threshold. So right now, if I'm under 800 HP, I take 50%-ish less damage as well. Which is really helpful because I am under 50% HP a lot. Okay, Reverence of Duality, increased health, increased damage, healing effectiveness, and more mana. And eventually we'll also add as many points as I can to here. Okay, more fire damage, more movement speed. Okay, very helpful. Everything else here, I mean, you can play around with it. I used to go for Blinding Light, again, for the extra endurance. I find it a bit unnecessary right now. However, if I will find myself lacking in sustain, I will definitely take this. The extra endurance percentage, 14% endurance percentage, is pretty big. Okay. And let's go into the skills and specializations. So we have Smite. Smite is pretty much on autocast. What we really care about here, mostly, is Consecrated Ground. This is giving us a lot of heal sustain when we are outside of range. So for example, let me show you. So if I do R and I have the Consecration, I am taking damage, but as you can see, it also like it mitigates a lot of the damage I'm taking, right? Just look at how much it heals me per second, right? So that's pretty much why we have it. That's a big one, especially when we're in range. This is our range sustain to an extent. The other cool things about if you are doing boss fights, Ensuing Fervor, okay, basically maintains Frenzy forever. You're always going to have Frenzy, as well as our belt will always pretty often will give us Frenzy as well because we are casting so fast. So Frenzy, more cast speed, life is good. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Smite. I also like having it doing more area there and also more, what do you call it? Armor shred. Okay. Again, just helps all around. It's a very nice support skill. I tried these before, honestly, just wasn't worth it. Consecration either lasts too long or lasts too little, and it just wasn't worth it. Everything else here, you're not, again, this is not much for an offensive spell, even though it does decent damage. It's not that great. You are mostly using it for your self-sustain. Also, Consecrated Ground itself does 10,000 damage per second, so anything around you will usually also die. Alright, if I stand next to it, you can see I'm doing a good chunk of damage, and you get a good chunk of armor shred as well. Alright, next, Sigils. This is your bread and butter in a sense, because this is what you use to make sure you have no mana. Okay. More damage, better. Self-regenerating sigils on kill. It's helpful. More fire damage per active sigil. Very nice. So that's 3 times 4, so that's 12 fire damage per active. 12 fire damage in total. Okay, we want more sigils. We want duration. Again, here you can play around if you want more defensive. If you're using a shield, by the way, feel free to go with this route. Increase your block chance per sigil and block effectiveness. Again, right now I didn't find a shield that would not reduce my damage by like 50%. So for now, I don't have a shield. And again, I do like having cast speed plus 30%. It's not mandatory, however, it does make it so I can cast them all pretty much. Like, you don't even notice that you're casting them. They're super fast. We'll go to Smite last, best for last. Okay, so Lunge is debatable. Sometimes, instead of Lunge, I like to go Javelin. Okay, and you go for the battle standard, you go for the surprise initiative, and basically just fill up this area of the tree. It will start dropping smites all around the area. Don't take this one though, capture the flag. It's just not very useful. But everything else, pretty much, yeah. It gives you a traversal. Only reason I don't like Javelin is because if it's a fight where you actually have to move a lot, I don't like using it because the cooldown is 8 seconds once you take this. It's 6 seconds and then this is +2, so it's going to be 8 seconds. Not that great overall. So I do prefer Lunge, and some bosses sometimes even with Lunge, I sometimes even prefer going Rebuke. If I know there's like pretty much a damage that will one-shot me, but it's like an instant, a one-time boom, basically like the tree boss in the darkness dungeon, Lightless Arbor. The tree boss, I like taking Rebuke, level it up. It's like 1 or 2 map runs and it's maxed out. And I like to take a lot of damage reduction and increase its duration. And then I also increase the cast speed when it ends. So it gives me, I avoid pretty much all the damage. And then I can also do a lot more damage right after it's over because I get increased cast time, cast speed. Right, Holy Aura. So this one there are a lot of changes I like to do here. I'm not a fan of these two. I've been trying them out. I feel like they are not performing as well as they should. 30% crit chance is literally like 3% or 2% increased crit chance. If you know, it's like if your base is 5%, 30% increase is just going to be like 2 more percent. So it's not really worth it. The crit multiplier is nice, but again, you don't crit often enough, in my opinion, for this to matter. But if you do manage to get a good chunk of crit chance, 15% or above, then it's definitely going to be worth it. Okay, increased ignite chance, that's nice because our smite will do more damage when ignited. Fire penetration, hell yeah. Increased global fire damage, hell yeah. Cast speed, hell yeah. Again, if you're lacking defenses, feel free to take health regen, poison resist, cleanse ailments, increased healing. Okay, so if you can use this not as a damage modifier, I like it as damage modifier. This adds a ton of damage, and also you can get more endurance and more resistance. So again, if I'm lacking defenses, these are certain changes I would make. I would remove this. I would get into the endurance tree a bit more. Okay. And if I have a shield, I would go for Mighty Shield as well. And then other changes around the other trees as well, just to increase my survivability. But right now, I can do 200s, and very rarely do I die. And most of it is because I'm like not paying attention. I'm always at range, and I'm not like charging at monsters often enough. All right, so the main ability here, there are a couple of variations that I do like. This is pretty much mandatory, these 3. And the variation is basically either you go for Conflagration, which is basically 100% damage increase. You're always igniting targets. They're always ignited. You hit often enough to make sure that everyone's ignited. Okay. If you don't like that one, for some reason, there's an AoE variation. Okay, so you can also go for this one. You can get some AoE. Again, I personally don't have a problem with just killing everything before it appears. The monster density is not enough for me to take this. I have played around with it, and it's nice where it's like 2 smites can just kill a pack, but most packs are not condensed enough for me to care. And the other one, even though there's a bunch of like stuff that is useless, like this ability, would be this one. 20% increased cast speed. Again, if you're lacking cast speed, and I can't stress enough how important cast speed is for this build, yeah, you would want to take this. Okay, as far as items go, okay, so my items are nowhere near ideal, but that's just the best I found. In my opinion, my mana should be at least 600, if not more. And again, the more mana I have, the more damage I would do, because I would increase so increasing cast speed will remain the same. So you can get basically up to 50% increased cast speed when you have 0 mana. However, the spell damage per 5 missing mana is really important. So if you're missing 500 mana, that's plus 100 spell damage, right? If you're missing 1000 mana, that's 200 spell damage. Right, now another cool thing is it has endurance, has healing effectiveness, and it has lightning penetration. I don't really care about, and lightning damage I don't really care about. But if you're going for this, not my favorite. I tried it before. However, you can go for the lightning variant. This will not work as well because you are not going to be healing yourself, right? As far as I've noticed, it doesn't really say anywhere that Smite stops healing. At least I don't remember that it does. But I don't remember getting healed when I went lightning. I tried it. It looks cool, but as far as like the utility that Smite gives me right now, especially combination with Lunge or Javelin that drops more smites, and basically have infinite healing. Essentially, like you go from 0 to 100 in like half a second, because of your self healing. Okay, so that's that. Right. In terms of damage right now, I didn't find anything better than Transcriber's Graver. And again, most of it is kind of useless. It's literally just the elemental penetration and 21 spell damage. Everything else here is pretty much useless to me, but nothing has been better in terms of like an offhand, right? And it does make me take extra damage, which really sucks, but again, right now damage is not a problem. Another key item to this build would be Twisted Heart of Ukeros, however you spell it. And the reason we like this is because whenever we cast Smite, we are gonna get Ward in exchange of our health. But because we're healing so much, so let me give you an example. Okay. So because we're healing so much, so we can go really low, obviously, and we can get... we don't have enough HP anymore to actually maintain our ward. However, this is mostly important for boss fights. So if I go 0 mana and I just stand next to it, I can get to about 3000 ward. And because of this, I basically have 3500 HP when fighting bosses. It gets there pretty fast, and some bosses that have one-shot mechanics, this is going to be a lifesaver, specifically like that, the undead dragon, the necrotic dragon. I just stand on top of it when it blows up, and I'm totally fine. It will bring me to like maybe half HP through my ward and HP, but it's like I'll be totally fine, right? So again, helps a lot with the defense. Very, very important item, and obviously legendary potential, and give it some more spell power and stuff like that would be fantastic. Belt, right now I'm using this one. However, this one is about the same. This one is conditional. This one will do more damage when you ignite yourself, which is basically whenever you cast spells, you have a chance to ignite yourself, therefore your damage will go up. However, if you don't want to ignite yourself because you do not have any cleansing, you might want to use something like this. Okay, this also makes sure that you will always be at low mana, because when you use a potion, all of your mana will go to shit pretty damn fast. Again, not the biggest fan of this belt, however, it does work. Okay, everything else on that is you want to increase cast speed, you want to have ward retention if possible. It's not mandatory, but it does make sure that your ward percentage, like your ward amount, will go up. The more retention you have, the more ward you can officially have. Okay, weapon, increase cast speed, fire damage. Now again, the suffixes plus ignite will probably be best. Everything else doesn't really matter too much. Helmet, attunement, mana, fire damage, resistances that you need, armor, HP, right? Chest, more attunement, more HP, more armor. If you can get mana, more mana, right? So like your main stats would be cast speed, mana, armor, fire damage, HP. Right? It's kind of self-explanatory, right? Once you get to a certain amount of cast speed and you feel like you don't need it anymore, then you can focus on the other things. But honestly, you can run like right now. I'll show you the damage potential. But again, everything as much as possible has attunement, HP, mana, stuff like that. Now, again, my build is not optimized at all. I should be having like 180, like 150 attunement maybe, if possible. 400 plus more mana and stuff like that. Okay. Now, the damage potential. So you saw the damage that I did in the preview, and you can see that it gets to like 300k damage. What is the actual damage of Smite? Because this dummy obviously has less armor and whatever, and it's like you are actually doing more damage. You are only creating like 30k on the monsters and stuff like that. How high can we get Smite though? So first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my Judgement autocast. So what I do is I have a keybind for this one. Where are the keybinds? Keybinds. Here we go. Okay, so you gotta change and have it on like one of the numpads. Okay, so what you do is you click the numpad, hold it, you click your num lock so it is removed, and then you release your numpad, right, the number 4 for me, and then it would keep casting. Now you can also bring back the num lock again, and it would still be casting that. Okay, so that would be always online. Okay, let's get to like 0 mana and let's cast aura. Right, so as you can see, it's only 200k. Obviously it will be even more as soon as I get some of the ignites on me, or maybe not. Maybe. Well, anyway, it's about 200k. It does get a bit more. I don't think it even counts the ignite spell power that I'm getting, but yeah. Either way, so yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Let me cancel that. Sigils. Essentially, what you're looking for, it's like number 1 priority would be damage to Smite. Increase damage with Smite. This is by far your bread and butter for this. Okay, everything else is kind of like, you know, fill it out as you go. If you need more resistances, get your resistances, right? If you need more shred armor and it's like more offensive, go for it, right? There's some that add ward retention, fire damage, really important. So yeah, if you can get like increased fire damage and damage with Smite, probably your best like min-maxing is in terms of damage. But yeah, that one pretty much self-explanatory. More Smite damage, more fire damage, shred armor with fire abilities, stuff like that. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. 40% chance to shred armor on hit with fire skills. Right, so it's like I'm getting a lot of armor shredding, which again will help me to do more and more damage. But on that, yeah, you just fill up the sigils with whatever you need, but make sure your 4 big ones have as much damage with Smite as possible. It goes up to 54%. Unfortunately, as you can see, I have a 37 here and below 50 for all of them, so that kind of sucks. But, you know, maybe one day I'll get better ones. Right now, not the case, unfortunately. So yeah, that is the build. Have fun blowing shit up with fire from the heavens. And I'll see you in the next one. Actually, let's go back on that one. One last thing. This is probably going to change in 1.1 and 1.0. I might change my lunge to healing hands. I want to see what the cooldown will be for healing hands traversal skill. If it's going to be 4 seconds or similar to lunge, I might actually go with healing hands because I'm pretty sure it had some synergy with Smite. And it had some aura around myself as well for healing. I am not sure. I will need to test it out, but this is something you should look into. Healing hands might actually be the next lunge. Okay, and again, the more self-healing we have, the more we don't care about being in range. Because right now we have to be in melee range in order to heal ourselves like mad. But, you know. So here, let me give you an example of how fast we can heal just with Smite, right? So let's get this, okay. Let's get to like very low HP. Right, so we're low HP. Now let's go in, boom, 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 instant HP. Okay, so as long as you are next to an enemy and he doesn't one-shot you, you can probably out-heal any damage. Okay, so just so you know. Anyways, that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed this guide. It's not as professional as other people, but I'm just here to give you information. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.